Ambassador Kelthera of the Hegemony Council had seen many species in her 2 centuries of diplomatic service, but none quite like the humans. She remembered the first contact reports from 50 cycles ago, a primitive species from a class Thuethene Deathworld called Earth, barely capable of rudimentary spaceflight. The Council had catalogued them as a curiosity, nothing more. Now, as she stood on the bridge of the Hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion, watching human vessels emerge from hyperspace like an endless swarm of silver locusts, she wondered if the Council's assessment had been catastrophically wrong. "Ma'am," her aide whispered, mandibles clicking nervously. "The human fleet, our sensors can't get an accurate count. They keep jumping in." Kelthera's 4 eyes tracked the holographic display. What had started as a few dozen ships had grown to hundreds, then thousands. Each vessel bore the distinctive angular design of human engineering, crude by hegemony standards, but there was something unsettling about their sheer numbers. "Open a channel," she commanded. The main screen flickered, revealing a human face. Male, she recalled from the briefings, though their dimorphism was subtle compared to proper species. This one was young by human standards, perhaps 30 of their short years, with dark skin and eyes that held an expression she couldn't quite identify. "I am Admiral Chen of the Terran Federation," the human said, his voice carrying across the void with surprising calm. "You have 3 standard hours to withdraw from this system." Kelthera's thorax bristled. "Human, you forget yourself. This system belongs to the hegemony by right of conquest. Your people signed the Accords of Submission. You have no claim here." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "The Accords were signed by a government that no longer exists. We're not the same species you met 50 years ago." "Preposterous. Species don't change in 50 cycles. Deathworld species do." The transmission cut. Kelthera stared at the blank screen, then at the tactical display where human ships continued to arrive. Her tactical officer, a seasoned Vorthan veteran, approached with obvious concern. "Ambassador, what are your orders? Their fleet size now exceeds our own by a factor of 3. Kelthera considered. The first human delegation had been pitiful. She remembered them clearly. Nervous creatures in ill-fitting environmental suits, wide-eyed at the technology they'd witnessed aboard hegemony vessels. They'd agreed to every term, signed every document, practically prostrated themselves before the Council. "What do we know about their current capabilities?" she asked. The tactical officer consulted his datapad. "Intelligence suggests they've somehow industrialized their entire system. Multiple shipyards around every planet, asteroid mining operations throughout their belt. But Ambassador, their technology should still be centuries behind ours." "Should be? Their ships. Their reading is heavily armored. Energy signatures suggest weapons we don't recognize. And there's something else." He paused, uncertainty creeping into his voice. "They're not using standard hyperspace lanes. Our physics models can't explain how they're achieving those jump distances." On the view screen, a new human ship emerged from hyperspace. This one was different. Massive, angular, and bristling with weapon emplacements that seemed to violate several known principles of engineering. It took position at the front of the human formation. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. Admiral Chen appeared again, but this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood other humans, military officers, Kelthera assumed, but also figures in civilian clothing. Scientists, perhaps. Engineers. They all shared that same unsettling calm. "Ambassador," Chen began, "let me tell you about Deathworld children. While your young play with educational simulations in climate-controlled environments, ours dig in radioactive dirt for fun. They climb trees that could kill them with a single thorn scratch. They swim in waters filled with predators that could swallow them whole." Kelthera said nothing, but her aide had gone pale. "We teach our children to build from scrap, to fix what's broken, to never give up. You called our world a death world like it was a curse. We call it home, and it made us strong." The tactical display updated. More human ships. But these were different, smaller, faster, moving in patterns that defied conventional fleet doctrine. 50 years ago, you met a species that had just learned to reach orbit, Chen continued. Children, really, playing with rockets and dreaming of stars. You thought you could make us into another client state, another resource extraction point for your empire. The hegemony has maintained peace for millennia, Kelthera found herself saying. Order, stability. For you, maybe. Do you know what we found when we started exploring beyond our system? 27 species, all former client states, all stripped of resources, their populations in decline, their cultures slowly dying under hegemony administration. The human fleet had organized itself into a formation that made no tactical sense by conventional standards. Too spread out, too diverse in ship types. Yet something about it felt threatening in a way Kelthera couldn't articulate. Those species accepted the benefits of hegemony membership, she replied. Though the words felt hollow, they didn't have a choice. Just like you thought we didn't? Chen leaned forward. But here's what you missed about Deathworld kids, Ambassador. We don't just learn to survive. We learn to adapt, to overcome, to turn every disadvantage into strength. The tactical officer was frantically updating his displays. Ambassador, they're not just in front of us anymore. Sensors detect human ships throughout the system. They've somehow surrounded our entire fleet. How is that possible? Unknown, ma'am. They're using some kind of stealth technology we can't penetrate. Chen smiled, and there was something predatory in it. You taught us about hyperspace drives, gravitational manipulation, energy shields. Thank you for that. But you forgot something important, which is, we're the species that looked at a death world and decided to call it home. Did you really think we'd stop innovating once we reached the stars? The human ships began to move, and their formation suddenly made perfect sense. They weren't following hegemony tactical doctrine because they'd created something entirely new, a three-dimensional battle strategy that used their superior numbers and unknown technology to create an inescapable web around the hegemony fleet. Kelthera felt a chill run through her exoskeleton. What do you want? Withdrawal, complete and permanent, from this system, and from every system where you've established client states without genuine consent. Chen's expression hardened. The children have grown up, Ambassador, and we've decided to take our toys back. The transmission ended. Kelthera looked at her tactical display one more time, seeing the impossible formation of human ships, the technological advancement that shouldn't have been possible, the quiet confidence of a species that had turned a death world into a launching pad for conquest. She thought of human children playing in radioactive dirt, building strength in the very environment that should have killed them, and realized the hegemony had made the greatest tactical error in its history. They had underestimated the Deathworld kids. Signal the fleet, she said quietly. We're withdrawing.